The wrestling world just witnessed something absolutely shocking that nobody saw coming, and trust me when I tell you this moment is going to be talked about for years to come, because MAXXINE DUPRI has done the impossible and captured championship gold, while Becky Lynch's reign has come to a stunning end in a match that had everyone on the edge of their seats from bell to bell. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you need to do it right now, because we're breaking down every single detail of this incredible upset. The arena was packed to capacity and the energy was electric as these two competitors made their way to the ring for what everyone thought would be just another successful title defense for the man. Becky Lynch walked down that ramp with the confidence of a champion who had overcome every obstacle thrown her way and defended the title against some of the toughest competitors in the division. Her entrance was everything you would expect from one of the biggest names in wrestling, with the crowd split between cheers and boos as she held the championship high above her head. But MAXXINE DUPRI came out with something different in her eyes that night, and you could see it the moment she stepped through that curtain, because this wasn't the same woman who had been climbing the ranks quietly while others got the spotlight. The bell rang and both women circled each other in the ring as the referee held up the championship to show what was at stake. Becky went for a lockup, immediately trying to use her experience advantage to control the early moments of the match, but MAXXINE surprised everyone by ducking under and hitting a quick dropkick that sent the champion stumbling backward into the corner. The crowd erupted because they weren't expecting DUPRI to come out that aggressive right from the start, and it set the tone for everything that followed. Lynch shook it off and came charging out of the corner with a clothesline, but MAXXINE ducked again, and this time she connected with a beautiful arm drag that had Becky rolling across the mat. You could see the frustration starting to build on the champion's face because nothing was going according to plan, and MAXXINE was countering everything she tried to throw at her. Lynch rolled out of the ring to regroup and take a breath, but DUPRI wasn't about to let her have that luxury because she hit the ropes and came flying through with a suicide dive that connected perfectly and sent both women crashing into the barricade. The referee started his count as both competitors struggled to get back to their feet, with the crowd chanting and screaming at the top of their lungs because they were witnessing something special unfold right before their eyes. Becky managed to roll back into the ring first, and as MAXXINE climbed up onto the apron, Lynch charged and hit a baseball slide that sent DUPRI flying off the apron and crashing hard onto the floor below. This is where the champion started to take control and show why she had held that title for so long, because she went right to work with that aggressive style that has made her one of the most dangerous competitors in the business. Lynch threw DUPRI back into the ring and immediately went for a cover, but MAXXINE kicked out at 2 and the match continued, with the intensity only increasing with each passing moment. The champion locked in a side headlock, trying to wear down her challenger and drain some of that energy that had been fueling MAXXINE's offense, but DUPRI fought back to her feet and shoved Lynch off into the ropes. Becky came back with a shoulder block that dropped MAXXINE to the mat and then hit the ropes again, going for another move, but this time DUPRI leapfrogged over her, and when Lynch turned around she walked right into a perfectly executed superkick that echoed throughout the arena. The crowd went wild as Becky stumbled backward and MAXXINE went for a quick cover, hooking the leg, but the champion kicked out at 2.5, showing the championship resilience that had gotten her through so many tough matches. Both women got to their feet and started exchanging strikes in the center of the ring, with forearms and chops landing back and forth as neither competitor was willing to back down. Becky got the upper hand and whipped MAXXINE into the corner before charging in with a running forearm that connected flush with DUPRI's jaw. Lynch backed up and charged again, looking for another strike, but this time MAXXINE got her boots up and caught the champion right in the face, stopping her momentum. DUPRI climbed to the second rope and launched herself off with a crossbody, but Becky caught her in midair and transitioned it into a devastating slam that shook the ring and had everyone thinking this might be the beginning of the end for the challenger. Lynch dragged MAXXINE to her feet and set her up for the manhandle slam, but DUPRI fought out of it with elbows to the side of the head and then hit a jawbreaker that stunned the champion. MAXXINE ran to the ropes and came back with a running knee strike that connected perfectly and dropped Becky to one knee. DUPRI seized the moment and hit the ropes again, this time connecting with a shining wizard that flattened the champion, and the crowd was on their feet as MAXXINE hooked the leg for the cover. The referee counted 1, 2, but Becky got her shoulder up just before 3, and the match continued as both women lay on the mat trying to catch their breath. The action spilled to the outside again when MAXXINE dropkicked Lynch through the ropes, and both women ended up on the floor trading strikes and trying to gain any advantage they could find. Becky slammed DUPRI's face into the ring apron and then threw her hard into the steel steps with a sickening crash that had the crowd gasping. Lynch was firmly in control now, and she rolled MAXXINE back into the ring before climbing to the top rope, looking to put this match away with a high-risk maneuver. The champion stood perched on the top turnbuckle measuring her opponent, but took just a second too long because MAXXINE recovered and rushed the corner, hitting the ropes and causing Becky to lose her balance and get crotched on the top rope. DUPRI climbed up to the second rope and hooked Lynch for a superplex, but Becky fought back with right hands trying to knock MAXXINE off the ropes. The two women battled up their trading shots while balanced precariously on the ropes until finally MAXXINE hit a massive headbutt that rocked the champion and then executed a beautiful superplex that brought both women crashing down to the mat with tremendous impact. The referee checked on both competitors as they lay motionless in the ring, and the crowd was chanting for both women, acknowledging the incredible effort they were witnessing. MAXXINE was the first to stir and she crawled toward Becky, draping an arm over the champion for a cover, but Lynch kicked out at 2 and somehow the match continued. DUPRI pulled herself up using the ropes and waited for Becky to get to her feet before charging and going for her finishing move, but Lynch ducked at the last second and MAXXINE hit the turnbuckle instead. The champion grabbed DUPRI from behind and hit an exploder suplex that sent the challenger flying across the ring and crashing hard in the corner. Becky was feeling it now and she was calling for the end as she stalked MAXXINE, waiting for her to get up so she could hit the manhandle slam. Lynch pulled DUPRI up and lifted her for the finishing move, but somehow MAXXINE managed to slip out the back and land on her feet behind the champion. Before Becky could turn around, MAXXINE grabbed her and hit a German suplex with a bridge going for the pin, but Lynch kicked out at 2. Both women scrambled to their feet and Becky swung wildly with a clothesline, but MAXXINE ducked under, and when the champion turned around, DUPRI kicked her in the gut and planted her with a devastating DDT that spiked Becky's head into the mat. The crowd was going absolutely insane as MAXXINE crawled to the corner and climbed to the top rope, taking a huge risk in this championship match. DUPRI stood tall on the top turnbuckle looking down at the fallen champion and measuring the distance before launching herself into the air with a beautiful frog splash that connected perfectly with Lynch's chest. MAXXINE hooked both legs and the referee slid into position, counting 1, 2, but somehow Becky got her shoulder up just before the 3 count and the match continued as the challenger couldn't believe it. DUPRI held her head in her hands, wondering what she had to do to put away the champion, but she didn't have time to dwell on it because she knew she had to keep the pressure on if she wanted to walk out with that title. MAXXINE pulled Becky to her feet and set her up for another big move, but Lynch countered with a rake to the eyes that the referee didn't see and then hit a orange that planted DUPRI on the mat. The champion was digging deep into her bag of tricks, trying anything she could to retain that title because she could feel it slipping away. Becky dragged MAXXINE into position and climbed to the second rope looking to come off with a leg drop, but DUPRI rolled out of the way at the last second and Lynch crashed hard onto the mat. Both women were down again and the referee started a count as neither competitor could answer immediately. They both started crawling toward opposite sides of the ring, using the ropes to pull themselves up, and when they finally got to their feet they met in the center of the ring and started trading strikes once again. Becky hit a forearm, MAXXINE answered back with one of her own, and they went back and forth until Lynch got the advantage with a knee to the gut. The champion went for another manhandle slam and this time she got DUPRI up, but as she was spinning to deliver the move, MAXXINE managed to counter in midair and turn it into a crucifix pin that had everyone holding their breath. The referee counted 1, 2, and Becky just barely kicked out, keeping her title hopes alive. Both women got to their feet exhausted and battered from the war they had been through, and you could see it written all over their faces that they were giving everything they had. MAXXINE charged at Lynch, but Becky caught her and drove her down with a spine buster that shook the ring. The champion backed into the corner and was calling for the end once again as DUPRI slowly struggled to her feet. Lynch charged out of the corner going for a running forearm, but MAXXINE moved at the last possible second and Becky went crashing shoulder first into the ring post. DUPRI grabbed the stunned champion and rolled her up with a schoolboy, but added a handful of tights that the referee couldn't see from his angle, and he counted 1, 2, 3, and the bell rang as the crowd exploded. The arena went absolutely ballistic as the referee raised MAXXINE DUPRI's hand in victory and handed her the championship that she had just won in the biggest upset of the year. Becky Lynch was on her knees in the ring in complete shock and disbelief that her reign had just come to an end in a way she never saw coming. MAXXINE clutched the title to her chest with tears streaming down her face as the realization hit her that she had actually done it and become champion against all odds. The crowd was a mix of stunned silence and thunderous cheers as they processed what they had just witnessed because nobody had predicted this outcome. Lynch rolled out of the ring holding her head and looking devastated as she walked up the ramp without looking back, while MAXXINE celebrated in the ring with the championship held high above her head. This was a changing of the guard moment that nobody saw coming, and it proved that anything can happen in wrestling when you step between those ropes. DUPRI had seized her opportunity and made the most of it, pulling off the upset of the year and capturing her first championship in the process. The wrestling world is going to be talking about this moment for a very long time because MAXXINE DUPRI just announced herself as a major player in the title scene. This match proved that DUPRI belongs at the top level and is what it takes to compete with the best in the business because she went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest champions of this era and came out on top. The heart and determination she showed throughout this match was nothing short of incredible, and every single person watching had to respect the effort and performance she put on. Becky Lynch may have lost the title, but there is no shame in losing to someone who wanted it that badly and was willing to do whatever it took to win. This is the kind of moment that creates new stars and changes the landscape of the division going forward. The celebration continued as confetti fell from the ceiling and MAXXINE stood on the second rope holding the championship high for everyone to see. This was her moment and she had earned every bit of it through hard work and determination that led her to this point. The road to the championship had been long and difficult, but it all paid off in this one incredible night that she will never forget. New champions bring new energy and fresh matchups, and everyone is going to be watching to see what MAXXINE DUPRI does with this opportunity now that she has reached the mountaintop. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most shocking title changes in recent memory, then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on any of the biggest moments and stories from the wrestling world, because we bring you all the action and analysis you need to stay up to date with everything happening in this incredible sport.